In today's episode, we're speaking to Shay Aguilar, who is a wife, a mom, a Reiki practitioner, and a realtor in Northern California. She is working on her goal, helping women who suffer from Fatherless Woman Syndrome identify their pain and heal the space behind their ribcage. Let's speak to Shay and find out how she changed her life by changing her mindset. Let's find out. Welcome. This is Gull, your money mindset expert. And today I'm so excited. We have Shay Aguilar. Welcome, Shay.
Well, thank you for having me, Gull.
I'm so excited to be speaking to Shay. Shay, everyone's heard your intro. They know how amazing you are. But please, in your own words, tell everybody what it is that you do.
It's very brief. I'm a basic person. I'm a wife, a mom. I'm a real estate agent in Northern California, and I also do Reiki healing. I'm a Reiki practitioner.
Awesome. Now, I know you personally, Shay. I know your journey. I want you to talk our listeners through the ups and downs and the kind of turmoil that you've come out the other end. I know you've come out the other end and you've done so phenomenally well. But talk us through, how did it all get started for you, and how did you end up being where you are right now?
How far back do we want to go? I will mention that I am a product of a single family. So my mother raised me on her own. My father I couldn't even say in and out of my life. He just really wasn't really there,
Yeah.
But my mother was an entrepreneur. So I saw her nonstop. She worked her butt off hard to make sure that I had everything I needed, and to make sure that I also didn't follow directly in her footsteps, because she always told me, be better than me. So I made it my point to make my mom proud. You know what I mean? So I graduated high school, went to college. And then while I was doing my paralegal studies, I should also add, I'm also a paralegal. But when I was doing paralegal studies, I fell in love with real estate. And it was something about it, because let's go a little bit deeper. I know when I was younger, I always had this need to help others, right? Where when I was on the playground playing with the kids, it was, if anyone was hurt, Shay was there, because I had this innate need to help. So real estate, when I fell in love with the courses as a paralegal, it allowed me to say, wow, I could possibly be helpful for others. So after graduating paralegal studies, I took courses to be a realtor. Real estate took me on a journey of entrepreneurship that I was just not ready for, because it required a lot. It required a lot of faith. It required a lot of vulnerability. The marketing alone was just overwhelming, because I'm hey, I was here to help. I didn't know I had to actually do all these things to make my skills.
The business side of it. Yes, of course.
Exactly. Right. But I was just faced with all of these moments where I felt so low, Gull. Everything I tried, it was just not working out. It was harder than what it needed to be. It was really difficult, right? And I'm not trying to be negative today, but I'm just telling you the truth of the matter. Yeah. It was so hard for me. I doubted myself. It was a journey that I asked myself several times, why am I doing this to myself? And then I came across this amazing woman named Gull. And I'm being so truthful right now. I believe I was on Facebook, and it was in a part of my life where I'm like, dude, what more? What else can I do? I'm doing everything and it's just not working. And mind you, I've always been super spiritual. So I know the energetic side of it all, but I didn't know in great detail. Right. And I already knew I'm creating this. I knew, but I didn't know the depth of how deep I was digging to manifest my reality.
Yeah.
Right. So I had to be the victim.
Right.
And then there was one year where I really, really wanted to take your courses, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I just can't at this moment. But I told myself, I'm huge on vision boards. You see this here.
Yeah.
On vision board, I'm like, I'm going to do this. This is my goal. It was my goal, and I was able to enter into your program. And when I say we dug deep and we found some blocks, and at first I was like, I already did those modules, Gull, I'm fine, right? But you were like, no, my darling, if you're fine, I promise you would not be having these issues, right?
Yeah.
I kid you not, I did the modules once, I did them twice, but on the third time when I did 2.0, and I actually sat with the fact that I had to be the fatherless victim. I don't know how to explain how deep it hit me, Gull. It was almost as if I had to be pathetic. Because if I wasn't, then I wasn't being that victim of the woman who was fatherless.
Yeah.
It was almost like I was letting that victim down. You know what I mean?
Yeah. To honor that victim, you had to play that role.
Yes, exactly. And it was like it was the biggest aha moment. And then all of this inspired action, I just started taking this inspired action. And I realized, wow, my need to help is really my need to help other women who are fatherless, identify that pain, get that shadow of that little girl that's in there wreaking havoc, because my little shadow was wreaking havoc because I hadn't nurtured her. You know, she's just sitting there in pain.
Yeah.
So I realized I had to reach in, nurture that little girl. This right here, I cannot explain to you how fulfilled I feel in this very moment, knowing that I found my purpose.
I've seen your journey, and I remember having that conversation, you know, that last year or the year, I think it was just beginning of last year, or just prior to that, maybe in 2020. No, it was 2020 we spoke, and then he joined the mastermind in the end of 2021. And I've seen your journey, and I've seen that this growth in your in you as a person, and I see you shining today. And I saw the messages that we exchanged the messages. I could see that sparkle come back, and it's almost
always like this.
No, and it was at the times it was. I could see that. I've always seen certain things about, because I'm psychic and I give you my downloads, like this is what I see for you, and it's difficult for you to understand what I'm seeing, but I see it as clear as day and night. But you had to get there, and your path I couldn't predict for you. I couldn't tell you which path you're going to take, but I knew that you would get. We're not there yet, but we have a clear vision of where you're going, and you have a mission now. I think that is what's inspiring, and it's so wonderful to see, because even today your energy is bright and shiny, and there are times when we've had conversations when it's been really low,
dark,
very dark. And so I want you to explain to people who may be listening and who are maybe going through a similar sort of situations where they think, well, my goodness, I have the skills, I have the ability, I have the talent like you did, yet I can't make this work. What would you say to those people? How would you help them to work on their mindset?
Ooh, first of all, I would contact Gull immediately. No, seriously, hands down, I'm not kidding, because I have done so many platforms that, guide you in the right direction, but none of them break those barriers, and they have to be broken.
Yes.
Right. So what I would suggest is taking a moment to identify your triggers. That is what helped me. And what a trigger is for me, what my triggers were is I would be deeply angered by situations. I would say things like, oh, why are her leads just coming in? I'm doing the same thing she's doing. It's not working for me, right? So I had to take a moment and sit with those emotions. And that's what a lot of people don't want to do. They don't want to sit with those emotions because they hurt.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I had to sit with those emotions, Gull, and I had to ask, why am I hurt or angered by someone else doing better than me? Because it's not me. I'm always happy for people genuinely, but I would always question, like, why is it so hard for me? Right. It wasn't until I sat with my triggers that I was able to identify the root And all of the root causes led back to the little me who was hurting because her dad wasn't there to say, baby, it's okay. Or I love you, honey. Or did you hurt yourself? Let me help you get up. Right. So that little girl was wreaking havoc in every part of my life.
Yeah.
Because I needed to take time and focus on her, help her heal.
Yeah.
So that's the advice I would give.
I think that's brilliant advice, because far too many people, when they are building their businesses, when they're building, so-called, especially this is true for even businesses, professions, because I think at a certain time people just settle for whatever level they are and they don't want to get promotions anymore. But as entrepreneurs, it becomes very evident that they have the skills, they're in the same business as everyone else, but other people are achieving this massive success and they are not. But the difference is everyone has a different journey, and it's possible that someone else doesn't have the trauma that you have to deal with. And if somebody else is able to get to X, Y, and Z, which is your target goal, but they don't have that disadvantage that you do, they don't have to deal with it and process the traumas that you've dealt with, then they will be further ahead, at least perceived that way. But the difference is, I always said life is not a race. Everyone has their own journey, because sometimes what you think is pulling you back is actually, when you see an arrow, when it's pulled back, it's ready to go forward. So sometimes that's not your biggest disadvantage. It's actually working in your favor, because eventually when you process through that trauma, you're going to shoot forward like an arrow and bypass everyone around you. And this is what you have to accept and understand. But in order to do that, exactly what you said, you have to look inside of you and process those deep, dark emotions, which are being carried not by your adult self, but the young child self. And I can totally relate to that, because my father was absent in my life. I had to really speak to that 5-6-year-old Gull and give her the love and affection that she so craved from her father, who's never around. But I had to give that to her and get the divine source love from divine source energy, the divine master, rather, from divine energy. And you're absolutely right. But people don't want to look and talk to that younger version, because, like you said, it's really painful. This work is not easy, and it's not for the faint-hearted. But as you can see, when you do work on your, when you work on your deepest, darkest demons, and this is one of the biggest demons people have, is their younger self. Mm-hmm. And it's throwing tantrums like a 5-year-old would, because if it's a 5-year-old, it's going to throw tantrums, right? What can you expect from a 5-year-old? But we as adults dismiss it, and we don't want to deal with that 5-year-old version of ourselves.
True, but it will continue to wreak havoc until you do. And that's just the truth of the matter.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. I'm so sorry. I was just going to say, it's crazy because when I gave the little me the love that she needed, I was able to take inspired action, right? Because now I'm not hung up on the fact that I want to throw a temper tantrum first because I want to be the victim, right? I'm able to take this inspired action and say, at least I did it. But before, the fear that would grip me, I wouldn't do it. Now it's just like, I'm going to do it and see where it goes.
And I love that you said that, because especially in the master, we always talk about this, we want to do things with ease and grace, and we don't want to take inspired action. I'm all about taking action, but I'm not about hustle. That's not what we're about, because that's one straight road down to burnout, really. Okay, we don't want to go there. But in order for you to take inspired action, you have to have this deep, honest conversations with your higher self, which at times are blocked by the younger version of you. This is why earliest money paradigm is so paramount. And I think even if you don't want to work on your money, you should deal with your early childhood memories and traumas, because without dealing with them, you're walking around blind. I think most people are ticking bombs. And that's definitely why they create all sorts of havoc in their life. And I don't know what's happened, and unexpected this, and ill health and whatever else. But because they have traumas that have these really huge emotions that have not been processed.
Definitely. And just even with me, myself, personally, and I'm going to go really deep here. So forgive me and allow me to be vulnerable, if you will.
Yes,
That
please.
little, that little me was so traumatized and hurt at the fact that her father wasn't there that I couldn't even allow my husband to love me,
Mm,
because I was thinking, if my own dad wasn't taking the time to be there for me when he needed to be, why would my husband? So I fought him tooth and nail because I wanted to prove to myself that I was not lovable. And I know that may not sound like something you would tell yourself, but deep down inside, that little girl needed to prove that that husband who loved me could not love me because my own father didn't. So there was a time where my husband and I separated because I hadn't healed that piece of me.
mm.
So that this me allowing myself to be vulnerable right now really it makes me happy because I get to see just how much my shadow was wreaking havoc. And I see the triggers that I was just allowing them to be triggers because I didn't know that it was a deeply rooted issue that was begging for help.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad you said that, because I see this so often. I mean, I've spoken to so many people, and I think females are more aware of this issue than men, but men have certain issues as well when it comes to intimacy and allowing their partners to love them. But women especially, they givers. They give a lot of love to the children, to their partners, husbands or boyfriends, but they are unable to receive love from them. And then they complain about, well, why can't you love me the way I love you? But it's not that individual's inability to love you, it's your inability to receive love. But unless you recognize that there's a child within you, this inner child, when we call the inner child work, there's a version of you that's pushing everything away and causing the the tantrums and the temper tantrums. And this is what's causing the havoc in your life, not the people around you. It's taking personal responsibility
Yes.
for what shows up for you in your life. And it's funny, we always say that, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. When you change that aspect about you, then the people around you are able to give you the love and affection and the kind of support. And you thought, why wasn't this around, years ago? But you realize you weren't that same person years ago. And it was your inability to receive, not their inability to give. And I'm so glad you said that, because I think a lot of people, they have, a lot of women actually have this issue if they have absent fathers. I know I did, but then I went a step further and I manifested a narcissistic person. That's something else which some people are. I think females can, if they witnessed that in their mother's in relationship, then they'll manifest that in their own life, and as I did. But even if you didn't manifest something as extreme example as you would not, even if you have the most loving husband like you do, you just weren't able to receive the love.
I wasn't. I blocked it.
Yeah. So
it was an abnormal feeling.
How has working on this side of you opened up your relationships with people around you and your partner?
It is crazy because it's instantaneously. I kid you not. I wish I could just show you how instant it was once the block was clear, right? The light bulb literally goes on. But to answer your question, it was instant. I was able to say, take a moment and actually hear what this person is telling you. Take a moment and actually see, because I used to always say, oh, I have this issue with, women, they're very combative. And even now, I have amazing relationships with women, but I was blinded.
Yeah.
And I wasn't able to receive the love because, unfortunately for people like me, when someone is telling you, here's my hand, that looks like a setup, or they're going to
ulterior motive. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So, but once you finally heal that piece of you, you're able to say, I'm going to accept your help and I'm going to thank you for the help, right? With no strings attached. It's okay to be helped.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And I'm so glad you said that, because there's a couple of things here. There's an element of being able to receive help, and especially if your father is absent, or if your divine masculine is corrupted or is distorted. Could be because they're present but they're not present, or they're completely absent in the case of you and me, or it could be that they are abusive, verbally, physically, or some other way. Either way, if your father masculine energy is not correct, then you expect no one to help you. You think you have to do everything yourself. And every time someone is coming to support you, think, oh, what strings are attached here? What's your motive? What are you doing this for? What do you want out of it? And that's the kind of thinking that actually makes you very lonely, because then you have no one.
Right. Exactly.
So if there was one piece of advice that you could go back, Shay, and tell your younger self, even like someone 6 months ago or a year ago, what's that one piece of advice that you would tell them?
Don't stop. Don't succumb to your fears. Keep pushing, because there's light at the end of that tunnel that you're in. I know those dark moments. And if you just keep digging, like, I don't know if you heard that story where I guess there was a guy who was digging and he's walked away from the gold at the moment he was going to strike.
3 inch from the gold. Yeah, 3
inches from the gold, right? Just keep digging, because I promise you, I know those dark moments, okay? And I didn't think they would ever end, ever. So just keep digging. Don't succumb to your fear. Don't listen to naysayers. That's another thing. If someone hasn't taken the journey to heal themselves, do your best to research and find someone who has been there and has gone through it, because not everyone can give you an unbiased opinion on where you need to go with their limited, resources. So
I love what you said. Yeah, it's the limited understanding of what you're going through. I think everyone has a very unique journey, but we sometimes walk a similar path. At least some parts of us, we have, we walk a similar path. And I think when it came to absent fatherly energy, you and I both walked that path together, because my father was never around, and he was may he rest in peace now. He's now passed away. He passed away in 2020. But I saw him. I think the situation was made worse for me, because I saw him as the epitome of the perfect father for his other children, which is exactly what you saw your father being. So there's something, if there's nothing wrong with him as a father, but he can't be that father to you, then there must be something wrong with you.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, if that father turns around and says that to you as well, that you're not a good daughter, you're not a good person, you're those horrible things to you, then you internalize that even further. Because my father, I had a falling out with my father, and he's told me how bad a daughter I am and everything else about me as a person. But it's something that you need to understand, what the individual says to you. That's their karma and their understanding of you.
Right.
But you have to deal with how your traumas that you receive from those individuals. And I think this is so vital, that we do the inner work before we start building our empires and businesses, because otherwise we're chasing our tail. Because you have the ability, I said this to you before, when we start working together, I'm not going to tell you how you're going to attract all these opportunities. I don't know what opportunities you're going to attract. I just know you will. But first we have to do the inner work. And exactly that, when you do the inner work, inspiration strikes. Just tell us something. I think I saw recently that you shared your mom has now really been flourishing as an entrepreneur. She's purchased her third home as a property entrepreneur.
So here's the thing about that, and I could just smile from ear to ear. My mom has purchased, this will be her third property. Now, her first other 2 properties were with another agent, but I'm so thrilled that on my mom's third property, I get to be her agent. It's phenomenal. I love the feeling of it.
Absolutely fantastic. And this is the kind of wins. I think this win means more to you than having all the other wins from other sales. This being able to help your mother achieve her goals helps you to fulfill, like you're helping her in helping yourself.
Oh my goodness, Gull, remember? Okay, sorry to cut you off, but do you remember I just had another light go on? And it's crazy because it's been like this for me for like the past week. I've been having these downloads, but I don't know if you remember when we spoke originally. Now, mind you, I said I wanted to buy my mom a home. Do you remember that?
I do remember that conversation. Yeah. I
it.
remember oh God, I'm getting goosebumps. I remember you saying one of my goals, I think this is for during a full money block analysis call. One of my goals is to I want to buy my mother a home. I really want to buy her a home. I remember you saying that.
Yes. Now I'm not purchasing her home, but I feel so excited right now because these moments right now, I don't know what you call it, but these moments like these let me know that I'm on the right path, right? And I need things like this. So I'm not purchasing her home, although I will one day purchase my mother a home, but I am able to gift her my commission for her down payment.
So you're facilitating her sale.
I am.
Yeah, which is absolutely fantastic. And I think this is bringing more joy. And I can see the smiles from ear to ear more than anything, I think any other achievement, just fantastic. And I think this is the kind of energy you want to be in, because now this will attract more opportunities for you. Not that you're doing this for opportunities, but the point is when you are in high vibration, when you're so happy, you attract such amazing opportunities to yourself. And you, instead of spiraling downwards, guess what? You can spiral upwards.
Exactly. And I don't have to be in that fake it till you make it vibration. This is my truth. And this is really happening. It's so exciting.
It is. I'm super excited to you. Okay, so on that note, we're going to wrap up. Shay, tell everybody, how can they connect with you? Where can they find you on the internet?
Okay, so I am on Facebook under Shay.Brivio. I'm also on Instagram, Shay Aguilar. And then I also have shayaguilar.com, which is my real estate website.
Fantastic. So the links that Shay has mentioned, if you are watching us or listening to us rather on the podcast, these links will be in the show notes. And if you're watching us on YouTube, then down below in the description section, we will have the links to all the links that she just mentioned. Do connect with her. She is one kick-ass lady, and I'm so excited to see the coming weeks and months on your journey, because I can really see you building momentum, and I'm so excited to see what unfolds next for you.
Me too. Thank you, Gull, for everything.
Thank you, Shay. And thank you for listening to me and Shay today. I will be back on another Friday feature with another amazing guest, finding out how they change their life by changing their mindset. Until the next time, this is Gull signing off. Take care and bye for now.